So now it's time to finish these treads, and we have a number of options. We need to finish them in some way because the bare wood would pick up stains and get dirty, and that wouldn't be good. At the other extreme, we could be finishing these with regular polyurethane. That gives a lot of protection, but the problem is that it's not all that repairable. We could finish them with tung oil, polymerized tung oil, but that's not quite as durable and not quite as fast drying as the stuff we're going to use, which is Minwax wipe-on poly. It works very well. It's a great compromise between hardening oils and their repairability and regular film-forming polyurethane, which is tough but not all that repairable once wear and tear sets in. So here's how I like to do this. So this is the stuff here. It comes in a container with just a little hole in it. And I guess the idea is that you kind of put it on a rag and wipe it on, and that works pretty well. But I find that the process works faster if I put some of the product into something with a larger mouth, something I can get a brush into, which is this clean tomato can here. The idea is that you can spread the material, spread the liquid more quickly with a brush, especially if you're dealing with trim and molding that has intricate profiles routed into it. That's not the case here, but I still like a brush, and I'll show you why. You just want to wet the surface. The idea with this product is you only allow what soaks into the wood to remain, and the rest gets rubbed off. Now, cherry is, as I've said before, one of my favorite woods, and the reason is because it turns such a lovely rich brown. It's actually quite light as cherry goes right now, as it always is when you first started to work it. But in exposure to light, it gets quite a rich brown color, which can't really be matched with any sort of stain that I've seen. So the surface is wet, and my job now is just to wipe off pretty much as much as I can. I'm not using a whole lot of pressure, but I don't want any liquid left on the surface. As you might imagine, with a finish like this, it takes a few more coats to build up the level of protection that you'd want on something like this. I think we'll have to be giving it at least 3 coats, sanding lightly between coats, and I'll show you that in the future, why we need to sand and how we need to sand. But this is pretty well done. I need to do a little bit more on the top edge. We've got these triangular strips of wood here so that the tread rests on as little as possible while this stuff is drying. This is the back edge of the tread down here, and that's the edge we're going to have resting on these triangular strips. Not that it's going to leave much of a mark, probably wouldn't leave any mark at all, but just in case we want to orient that mark where it's not going to be seen, because it's the back of the tread. So now, wipe-on poly like this comes in satin and gloss finish. I always prefer the satin. I just like a matte finish whenever I can. It shows up imperfections less, just looks a little classier. So I'm ready to leave this tread alone and move on to the next one. I'm just going to use the light coming through the window to make sure there aren't any areas I've missed wiping. First on the bottom of the tread, and now again on the top. Now that looks great. So there you have it. This is the first stage in the finishing process.